Good evening. This is Letty Patino, and this is day 10 of my 22-a-day challenge. If you've been following along at all, my challenge was a little bit different. I decided rather than doing squats or push-ups or some form of exercise that I wanted to do 22 different interviews with 22 different vets. And today I have Tyler Bennefield with me. Tyler, can you tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from?
Yes, I'm from South Carolina.
South Carolina. I think the accent might give it away a bit. So, Tyler, what branch of the military did you serve in?
I was in the Army.
You were in the Army, and what was your job?
I was an infantry soldier, 11 Bravo.
Okay. How long were you? Did you serve?
I served for 4 years.
For 4 years. Okay. Now, can you, since this is kind of to raise awareness, I guess in a way, I guess that is the point, is to raise awareness of, that veteran struggles as they transition back to the civilian world. Can you give us maybe a little bit of backstory as far as what the transition process was for you?
Okay. Well, when I came home from Afghanistan, some of the biggest things I noticed was that I kind of wanted to be alone. I often found myself, not wanting to be as social as I was before. A few things that was kind of odd for me that may not seem odd to everybody, or don't seem as odd now, but they were odd then, was when I first came home, if I was driving down the road and I saw, say, a pothole or a weird marking on the side of the road, like maybe where they were doing construction, they had done some paint markings or something, stuff like that, I kind of was wary of, only because when you're overseas, you look for anything that's odd and out of place, because that's typically a red flag is what we called it. So driving down the road, seeing stuff that is normal, my mind was still in that combat zone. So I would see, like I said, something like a pothole or something like that, and I would actually swerve to avoid it if possible. Or if it was a marker in the road, I would either speed up or slow down to try and make it so that I was not going through that area at the same speed as I was before or after the area. And like I said, that was just things that we did overseas to prevent ourselves from being part of an ambush. And so I noticed that I had some of that as well. I also noticed that my drinking got a little bit higher. I was, part of the whole thing about being by myself and being kind of a loner, so to speak. I also noticed that my stress level and anxiety was also increased. Even though it was actually, I'm safer being here than I was over there, but it's still just one of those things that it took a process of getting through. And ultimately for me, I was one of those statistics. I came back and went through a divorce because, like I said, I kind of pulled away from my wife. There wasn't infidelity or anything like that. It was just I had gotten so used to closing myself off that I kind of closed myself off from the relationship. And so that didn't help things. And, especially after being gone for so long away from her while I was overseas. So for me, the transition of coming back and getting back into a normal routine of life and getting away from some of those preparedness thoughts that you have overseas, it takes a little bit for your body to start winding back down and realize, hey, it's okay. You're in a safer place. You don't have to watch everybody and everything as if they're going to attack you. So that was something that I had to start getting used to.
Now, what do you feel helped you the most, as far as reestablishing this new identity as, a person that's been, I mean, you're essentially not the same person that you were before. You're a new person. But what do you think helped you the most in that transition period?
Well, first off would be God. Without my religious base and without, staying in prayer, this would have been a lot harder. Because I know that I did get into that time where a lot of soldiers get to, where I actually thought about suicide. I actually thought about, what is life worth? And unfortunately, I know that a lot of soldiers go through that. In fact, I recently did what we call a silky hike, which is a hike where we march, do a 13-mile hike for veterans, because suicide is something that a lot of veterans deal with and a lot of them struggle with. Now, not all of them go through with it. Not all of them have, long, prolonged thoughts. Like mine just happened for a short period of time and then I got past it. But a lot of veterans don't have that same ability to cope. So being able to get around other veterans, that's a big thing, because unfortunately a lot of veterans try to tell their struggles to civilians, and someone who hasn't been there, who hasn't been to combat, who hasn't seen what you've seen, oftentimes doesn't know how to handle it. So I encourage other veterans, if they have any type of anything they're dealing with, find another veteran to talk to, because a veteran's going to understand a lot better than a civilian would. No offense to any civilians who are watching this, but it's just one of those things that it's hard to explain to somebody if you've never been there. And that's why, like, even this weekend, I'm getting with a group of veterans just to hang out, just to be around each other, because sometimes just getting around other veterans, even if they haven't opened up to anybody or not wanting to open up to anybody, eventually just being around other veterans will make veterans comfortable enough to open up. So I've found that that's been a big thing for me, is surrounding myself with other veterans and surrounding myself just with people in general, because I found that whenever I came home and I got to myself and just stayed by myself, that was the wrong thing to do. I mean, any psychiatrist or anybody who studies depression or anxiety disorders will tell you that your body wants to stay by itself, but your spirit and your emotional side of you needs to be around others. So so push past that barrier and be around others. That started getting me moving in the right direction, realizing what my problem was and how I could start coping with it and dealing with it.
It seems I'm kind of grateful that I'm doing the interview with you. You're a little more open. You're a little more open about it than the other guys have been. But it seems to me like it's such a taboo subject in a way. Like, yes, people are acknowledging, yes, people are doing the 22-a-day push-ups, and people are doing the challenges, but it almost seems in a way like I don't think I recall very many of the interviews, or if any. I mean, there might have been one where the word PTSD is even mentioned, where it's even acknowledged that yes, it is depression. You are dealing with symptoms of depression, and it's just, it's almost like I don't know what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is it something that, I mean, I would hate to say that it's something to be shameful, but because it's not something to be ashamed about. I mean, right. A lot of people deal with it. But.
Well, first off, a lot of people have pride issues, especially being in service. I know that anybody who's a combat veteran like myself, who was in infantry, Cav Scouts, recon, special forces, anything like that, those guys are going to be a lot more prideful. So being able to open up, they see it as a weakness. But I found in myself, because I do a ministry also, I found that the more I open up to others, the more I tell others about my struggle, the more it opens them up to telling me about themselves. So I guess that's what makes me a little bit more comfortable, is that I've learned that when I open up and share my story, it allows others to open up also. But like you said, with PTSD, I was diagnosed with a depression and anxiety disorder when I came back. But a lot of people have stuff that's even worse than that. But the reason people don't like to say that is because as soon as someone thinks PTSD, they think of some crazy homicidal maniac who's going to go around and killing everybody, and who, hears a gunshot and starts flipping out and all this kind of stuff. And, unfortunately, there are some people who do have some really bad cases of PTSD, and, things like fireworks and stuff like that do actually upset them. But there's also people who just have mild cases of it, who just, either they saw someone that was a great friend of theirs, or even just someone in their unit that didn't make it back, or who suffered some severe injuries, and things like that kind of stay with you. Or, maybe they had to make some choices over there that maybe they didn't want to make. So there's a lot of reasons why people may not want to talk about it, because they may not want to open up those feelings. But I've found that the more someone talks about it and opens up, the better it is. And that's why I'm saying that veterans need to find other veterans to talk to. They need to find someone that they can tell that deep stuff to, that stuff that is on their mind, that they wouldn't normally talk about. And anybody who's listening to this show, if you want to come talk to me sometime, I'd love to talk to you. Because like I said, I do a ministry for veterans. But yeah,
I was going to ask you about that. That was my next question. What is it that you do? What does your life look like now? What is it that you do now? Because I know I've seen a few of your posts of what, stuff that you're doing.
Okay. Well, like I said, I came back. I started going through my divorce. I went through that process. I couldn't really hold a job. I've been called to ministry my whole life, and even when I was in Afghanistan and in the Army, I was part of the unit ministry team. So I was basically the guy who was the middleman between the guys and the chaplain. So if someone had some prayer requests or something like that, I would pray with them. I would be there for them. But if they really needed to talk to a chaplain, I would contact the chaplain for them and get that set up. But now that I've come back, I now have my own radio show on the TuneIn app, CIA Media. So someone can go on the TuneIn app, listen to CIA Media. We do talk shows on there. We do music. So all kinds of stuff for positive inspiration. And if someone wants to tell their story or have an interview, we have that also. I have Reclamation Ministries SC on Facebook. So someone can go on there just to get positive motivational daily inspiration. I also have recently started doing a prison ministry. So I'm going to prisons and talking to people, because oftentimes they don't have anybody come and visit them. Some of them never have anybody visit them. So just having someone there to show them that someone is there for them. And like I said, I do stuff with veterans. I went and did the Silky Hike, which was a 13-mile hike. Went and did that just to hang out with veterans it was basically 22 for the 22. Basically people going and marching with 22 pounds on their back just to show veterans that, there are other veterans who are there for them, and that they don't have to commit suicide. They don't have to deal with their struggles alone, that there's other veterans who are there for them. Also, like I said, I'm getting together with some veterans this weekend, just hanging out, just basically showing them that there's somebody there who cares about them, and that they're not in this alone. There's other veterans who dealt with what they've dealt with. So that's basically what I do. Like I said, I do the talk show and do that to reach people around the world, but I also try and personally go out and spend time with veterans and hang out with veterans. I've gotten involved with the VA and with what's the name of it? I forget what the name of the other group is, but they're both dealing directly with veterans. So I get to contact them and help them set up different organizations and help them with different events and fundraisers they do and all that, just to help veterans. So
awesome. Sounds like you keep busy.
I try to.
Just a little bit. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, lady.
I just, thank you for your service, and just thank you for, your continued support of veterans. And yeah, I'm glad I have you as a friend.
Thanks. You too, lady.
Thank you. Awesome. I will let you know when this goes up online. Okay, thanks.
All right, sounds great.
Have a good night.
All right, you too.